Hi everybody, we are going to work on a skill called cause and effect, and I'm going to read you a story called A Fine, Fine School. Let's talk about cause and effect for just a minute. We have touched on that this year, but just really kind of touched on it. So cause, I'll give you an example. Your alarm doesn't go off. What's the effect? Maybe you missed the bus, right? Now, cause you missed the bus, what's the effect? You're late for school, okay? So cause effect work together. One thing causes the effect to happen, okay? So we're gonna do a little cause effect with a book called A Fine, Fine School. All right, this is by Sharon Creech. Mr. Keene was a principal who loved his school. Every morning he strolled down the hallway and saw the children in their classes. He saw them learning shapes and colors and numbers and letters. He saw them reading and writing and drawing and painting. He saw them making dinosaurs and forts and pyramids. Oh, he would say, aren't these fine children? Aren't these fine teachers? Isn't this a fine, fine school? Near Mr. Keene's school, Tilly lived with her parents and her brother and her dog Beans in a small house next to a big tree. On Mondays and Tuesdays and Wednesdays and Thursdays and Fridays, Tilly went off to school. At school, Tilly learned her shapes and colors and numbers and letters. Sometimes when she saw Mr. Keene standing in the hallway, he waved. Aren't these fine children, he said to himself. Aren't these fine teachers? Isn't this a fine, fine school? On the weekends, Saturday and Sunday, Tilly climbed her favorite tree, and she took Beans on walks and threw him sticks. And she pushed her brother on a swing and tried to teach him how to skip. But on Mondays and Tuesdays and Wednesdays and Thursdays and Fridays, Tilly went off to school. Beans and her brother did not like to see her go. Hurry, hurry, hurry home, her brother called. One day, Mr. Keene called all the students and teachers together and said, oh, this is such a fine, fine school. I love this school. Let's have more school. From now on, let's have school on Saturdays too. The teachers and the students did not want to go to school on Saturdays, but no one knew how to tell Mr. Keene that. He was so proud of the children and the teachers, of all the learning they were doing. Oh, let's stop for a second. So, Mr. Keene loves school so much, right? That what has he decided to do? Oop. Oh, I can get my L in there. What has Mr. Keene, what's the effect of Mr. Keene loving school so much? He's decided they should have school on, you said it, Saturdays. Oh, okay. Let's see what happens. And so, that Saturday, Tilly set off for school. But it's Saturday. What about the swings, her brother called. The following month, Mr. Keene announced, this is such a fine, fine school. I love this school. Let's have more school. From now on, let's have school on Sundays too. The teachers and the students did not want to go to school on Sundays, but no one knew how to tell Mr. Keene that. He was so proud of the children and the teachers, of all the learning they were doing every day. Ready? Mr. Keene loves school, so now he's decided they're going to go to school on Sundays. That's the effect of him loving school. Okay, let's see. And so that Sunday, Tilly set off for school. But it's Sunday. What about skipping, her brother called. The following month, Mr. Keene called everyone together and said, "This is such a fine, fine school. I love this school. Let's have more school. From now on, let's have school on holidays too, on Easter and Ramadan and Thanksgiving and Christmas and Hanukkah, on all the holidays on every calendar." The teachers and the students did not want to go to school on holidays, but no one knew how to tell Mr. Keene that. He was so proud of the children and the teachers and all the learning they were doing every day. So Mr. Keene loves school so much, the effect is now they're going to go to school on, yes, holidays. And so on Christmas. Oh, can you imagine? Tilly set off for school. But it's Christmas. What about Christmas? Her brother called. The following month, Mr. Keene called everyone together and said, "This is such a fine, fine school. I love this school. Let's have more school. From now on, let's have school in the summer too, all summer long, every day." Oh, Mr. Keene loves school so much. What's the next effect? They're going to go to school in summer. Wow. How much we will learn, he said. We can learn everything. We will learn all about numbers and letters, colors and shapes. The Romans and the Egyptians and the Greeks. We will learn about dinosaurs and castles and everything. We will learn everything. The teachers and the students did not want to go to school on Saturdays and Sundays and holidays and all summer long, every single day. But no one knew how to tell Mr. Keene that. He was so proud of the children and the teachers, of all the learning they were doing of every day. And so on the first day of summer, Tilly set off for school. "But it's summer. What about summer?" her brother called. And that day, Tilly went to see Mr. Keene. She stood in his office in front of his desk. "What a fine, fine school this is," Mr. Keene said. "What amazing things everyone is learning." "Yes," Tilly said, "we certainly are learning some amazing things." "A fine, fine school," Mr. Keene said. "But," Tilly said, "not everyone is learning." "What?" Mr. Keene said. He looked very worried. Who isn't learning? Tell me, and I will see that they learn." "My dog Beans hasn't learned how to sit," Tilly said, "and he hasn't learned how to jump over the creek." "Oh," Mr. Keene said. So the cause, all school, all days, is having an effect. The first effect Tilly told Mr. Keene about is her dog. And what he's not learning, right? And my little brother hasn't learned how to swing or skip. "Oh," Mr. Keene said. Who else isn't learning? Tilly's brother. "And I," she said. "But you go to school," Mr. Keene said, "to our fine, fine school." "True," Tilly said, "but I haven't learned how to climb very high in my tree, and I haven't learned how to sit in my tree for a whole hour." "Oh," Mr. Keene said. So the effect of having all this school, Tilly hasn't learned how to climb her tree very high, and she hasn't learned how to do what in the tree? Yeah. Sit for a whole hour. I wonder what's going to happen. That day, Mr. Keen walked up and down the halls, looking at the children and the teachers. Up and down he walked, up and down, up and down. The next morning, Mr. Keen called everyone together. The children and the teachers were very worried. Mr. Keen said, "This is a fine, fine school with fine, fine children and fine, fine teachers, but not everyone is learning." The children and the teachers were very, very worried. Wouldn't you be, knowing how Mr. Keen has acted before? Mr. Keen said, "There are dogs who need to learn how to sit and how to jump creeks." What did he mean? Was he going to make their dogs come to school? "There are little brothers and sisters who need to learn how to swing and how to skip." What did he mean? Was he going to make their younger brothers and sisters come to school too? The children and the teachers were very, very, very worried. "And you, all of you, children and teachers, you need to learn how to climb a tree and sit in it for an hour," Mr. Keen said. The children and the teachers were very worried. "And so from now on, we will not have school on Saturdays or Sundays or holidays, and not in the summer." A huge, enormous, roaring cheer soared up to the ceiling and floated out the windows so that everyone in the town heard the fine, fine children and the fine, fine teachers shout, "Fine, fine, fine." And the fine, fine children and the fine, fine teachers lifted Mr. Keen up, and they carried him down the hallway and out the doors and through the town, up and down, in and out. And everywhere they went, the people said, "What a fine, fine school with such fine, fine teachers and fine, fine children and a fine, fine principal." All right, let's do one more cause-effect. Tilly went and talked to Mr. Keen about the problems, right? About having school all the time. What was the effect? Mr. Keen decided to just have school on Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, Fridays. Okay, cause effect. We'll do some more.